The fans, they fell in love with him. I started to fall in love with him.
He's been remarkable, and how he does it's really fun to watch. It's entertaining.
Faced Shota in spring, and it's such a different look coming out of his hand.
I think we can officially call this the era of Shota Mania.
Imanaga the strikeout. He's fired up.
In his first year coming over from Japan, the pitching philosopher has tallied a 0.84 ERA in his first 9 career starts. Folks, that's the lowest to start a career in MLB history. Next up on that category, Fernando Valenzuela. So let's answer the question, what is making Shota so dang good, and how is he still throwing gems even when he doesn't have his best stuff? Hey, as always, if you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell because I want to bring you more analysis, more awesome interviews, more post-game reactions right here on the Setup Man. So to start all this research, I have to start with his best pitch, the fastball. Coming to the MLB, his fastball was scouted as his best pitch, but we were also expecting an above-average splitter as well. Both have exceeded expectations, but man, the fastball is truly out of this world. According to Baseball Savant, it only averages 91.9 miles per hour, yet it somehow is the best fastball in the game? Let me show you what I mean. So let's take a look at this pitch on Baseball Savant. As you can see up here in the upper right-hand corner, which is where we're focusing on, the pitching run value and the fastball run value in the 100th percentile. That means he's the best, guys. So when we look at this fastball run value, and what does run value mean? And if you look it up on Baseball Savant, it can be a little bit confusing, but I talked to Lance Brzezowski, shout out to Lance, and he says basically his run value 13 means that he prevented the equivalent of 13 runs from a run expectancy standpoint. So you can kind of just look at that fastball and say, well, that fastball is preventing up to 13 runs so far this season, which is out of this world, and there's no surprise for that reason. It's the #1 pitch in baseball. As you can see, Carlos Rodon, Tyler Glasnow, their forcing fastballs are actually severely behind Shota's. So what does make this fastball so good? Former Cubs left-handed pitcher Ted Lilly has some thoughts.
There's a few different factors why, just going back to your point of him getting away with pitches when he does miss middle. One, oftentimes he's pitching ahead in the count. Two, he does leverage that fastball pretty well, and it is not a really easy pitch to pick up out of the hand.
But there's got to be more to it than that, right?
His fastball fights gravity better than most everybody else's fastballs in the major leagues. He has 19.3 inches of induced vertical break on average, meaning his fastball fights gravity 19.3 inches worth.
That's the one that have the hitters shaking their heads. It's one thing when they chase a bad ball, but when they swing through 92 right over the heart of the plate, that's what they refer to as the invisible.
So all you keep on hearing about is the rising fastball from Shota Imanaga, and that's a really easy thing for a broadcaster or an analyst to say, and for a fan for us to hear, but to actually see it is completely different. So when I look at Kyle Hendricks, who has been struggling all year long, belt high to Gurriel, and a little bit in, and then you look at a guy like Shota who throws pretty much the same pitch and it doesn't get hit, it actually gets fouled off. Well, what's the difference there? Before I show the difference between him and Hendricks, check out this illustration from Brennan Miller. Go check out Brennan on the CHGO podcast and on Twitter at Brennan_Cubs. As you can see, Shota's ball is the red one, where the average Major League fastball is the black one. Because of Shota's 5'10" height, his ball starts under the black ball, but by the time it gets to the plate, the red ball, Shota's ball, is above the black ball. Now that's a cool illustration, but let's take a look at this real time against a few other pitchers. What I want to do here is I want to go frame by frame as the ball is released. Watch this. Ball release, I've got a little red line here for you. Kyle Hendricks' ball on the right there is over the red line. Shota's well beneath the red line, mainly just because of his height compared to Kyle Hendricks. But watch what happens as this ball keeps going. Hendricks, the ball continues to go up out of the hand, and so does Shota's. But then Shota's just keeps on going, and Hendricks, his ball is going to come all the way back down to that red line. And of course, that's mainly because Hendricks has a sinker, right? Where Shota's is not a sinker, it's a four-seam fastball. But you can see the effect that that has against the batters, where Gurriel is saying, hey, that ball is coming right into my bat path, as it's more of an uppercut, which most baseball players have today. Whereas on Shota's, it just keeps on rising, and so that ball never reaches the bat path, and that's why it is fouled straight back. And it's still a good swing. It's still, I mean, if I'm the batter, I'm kind of befuddled a little bit and wondering, why didn't I hit that pitch? But as you can just see the path here, Shota's, once again, starts well beneath the line, just keeps going, and is rising, where Hendricks, about probably the 45-foot mark, that ball just starts to really come down right into the bat path. There's Hendricks versus Shota for you. Now, how about a little blast from the past with John Lester? That ball kind of looks like a Shota fastball, right? Strikeout, looks like it rises a little bit, and then you've got this inside fastball that, a good swing once again. This is from the 2016 World Series, by the way, as you can tell, Game 7, and a lazy flyout. So let's take a look at that for Shota, as, once again, it's the same pitch that we were just looking at with Hendricks. This ball is fouled straight back, but now let's go frame by frame and look at it compared to Lester. Now, once again, Shota is much shorter than Lester, so that ball, once again, and that reach is going to be a lot different. Red line there. The lower half of the ball of Lester's is right at the top of the red line, where Shota's, once again, is well beneath that red line. And then look at this. So even though and this is the strikeout fastball, even though it kind of looked like, let's just show the replay really quick here. Even though it kind of looked like that's kind of a Shota rising fastball, looks like it's got some rise to it. When we look at this, watch this ball. Shota's keeps on trying to get to the plane of Lester's, and once again, right before the plate, it's about at the same plane. We've got Shota's ball. You just do a direct line across. It's about the same plane, whereas just a couple seconds before, or a couple frames before that, it's below Lester's ball. This ball just keeps on rising, and that's why you see the foul back, and Napoli was just late on it. Yes, that's first base coach Mike Napoli for the Cubs, just late on that one. Whereas with Shota's, it just misses the barrel. Completely misses the barrel because that ball keeps rising. And then, again, that second pitch there from Lester where fastball in, good swing, but the guy, it's Coco Crisp, just kind of gets a little bit in on him. Watch this again. So, once again, frame by frame. Shota's below the red line. Lester's above the red line. And immediately, Shota's ball is climbing. Lester's ball is coming down. All right? A lot different looks. Same pitch from Lester, by the way. Both of them are fastballs. And Lester's just keeps on coming down. Shota's keeps on rising. Look at that. By the time Lester has delivered the pitch, compared to where it ends up in the strike zone, it's still on the red line. Shota's well beneath the red line and well above, tremendously above the red line by the time it gets to the plate. This is a perfect way of looking at it and just seeing just how much this ball stays on a rising type of plane from Shota compared to two, let's call them, extremely legitimate pitchers. Of course, Hendricks once again is struggling majorly this year, but his stuff has been about the same. So when we look at a pitch like this from Hendricks, I mean, you know, getting crushed because he can't miss there. Shota, meanwhile, can throw that pitch right down the middle and get a swing like that and not get it barreled up. This is why Shota's been so good. Even when he misses his spot, the ball does things that these batters are not used to, and for that reason, they're just not barreling it up. Now that you've seen why the fastball is so effective, let's take a look at how this helps him in games that he doesn't quite have his A stuff. I want to break down two games because, again, what we're talking about is why is Shota sometimes extremely good and why is sometimes he just really good when he's not quite on his game. And I think this report from Baseball Savant answers two questions. Number one, why he gets chase, and number two, just how good that fastball is. So when we look at it, the Braves are on the right, the Padres are on the left. Both these are starts in May. If you watch both these games, taking out the 8th inning in the Padres game, it was very clear that Shota was dominant and on his game in that Padres game, where against the Braves, he labored a little bit, a lot more walks, a lot more hits per innings pitched, a lot more pitches, and that's why he was taken out after the 5th inning. So you can see the biggest difference here is the usage, the percentage of usage of the fastball versus the splitter. In the Padres game, 57 fastballs. In the Braves game, 64 fastballs, 7 more. In the Padres game, 8 more splitters than the Braves game at 30 splitters. That is telling. Keep that in mind for just a second here, because when we go to this next one, you'll see we're looking at all of his pitches, and the red is the fastball, the kind of teal color is the splitter. There's a ton of fastballs in the middle of the zone, and this answers that second question of what I was talking about just a little bit earlier. This shows you just how good Shota's fastball is. Look at where these fastballs are. Middle of the plate, belt high, maybe a little bit higher over here against the Padres on a few pitches. Then against the Braves, he really executed the fastball very well, whereas with the Padres, there was a lot of fastballs that were kind of almost to a point where they weren't competitive, whereas the Braves, a lot of top-of-the-zone competitive fastballs. And you look at this and you say, well, man, he really executed the fastball well in the Braves game, but, you know, the Padres game was more impressive. Well, why is that? Well, it's really because of the splitter. Look at these splitters. Tons, if you were to count this up, probably close to 15 splitters that are competitive chase pitches. And you can even argue this one in the strike zone here is competitively a chase pitch as well. And in the Braves game, there's just not as many, maybe about 10 compared to the maybe 15 over here. Maybe about 10 splitters, and then a lot of them ended up dipping well below the zone. And that's reinforced when you look at this graph, which is how many swings batters took against pitches. You can see pretty much all of those competitive, close to the zone chase splitters are swung at. These are ones that guys are swinging at. Whereas over here against the Braves, just not nearly as many that are being swung at because they're not nearly as competitive. There are a lot more that were down here that they just kind of spat on. So to summarize, when Shota has a great feel for that splitter, expect him to completely dominate. But when he doesn't, his ability to rise that Invisa fastball can still carry him to a great start. The question from here, can the league adjust, or will Shota's unexplainable fastball continue to send batters to the loony bin? If you like this video, don't just like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to also watch this next video where Ted Lilly gives a breakdown of Shota Imanaga.